Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals is a 9-person volunteer citizen board appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the City Council. Our procedure tonight is as follows. First, we will hear from the Planning and Development Services Unit, represented tonight by John Barrett. Then the petitioner or his or her representative will make his or her presentation. Petitioners will have 5 minutes in which to make their presentation. The board members may ask questions of either the city or the petitioner. We will acknowledge any written comments received by the board. We will allow an appearing party to express their support or objections. The board will discuss the appeal and formulate a resolution to approve the appeal. 5 affirmative votes of the board will be required for a variance to be granted. Finally, any qualified party who is aggrieved by a decision of the board can appeal that decision to the Washtenaw County Circuit Court on a timely basis. We'll start with roll call. Nick?
Here.
Mike Daniel.
Here.
Dave.
Here.
Mike Doubtmeyer.
Here.
Nicole.
Here.
Heather. Jeremy. Kirk.
Here.
And I am here. We have a quorum. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Do I have any comments or a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion by Dave, support by Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes. The minutes are not yet completed, so we will have minutes for August, September, and tonight's meeting at the December meeting. So we'll move on past that. On to appeals and hearings. We have ZBA 16-024, 815 Brookwood Place. John?
I'm John Barrett, zoning coordinator for the City of Ann Arbor. The first case tonight is ZBA 16-024, 815 Brookwood Place. Costa Pro LLC, on behalf of the owners Heidi Mitchell and Margaret Vincent, request permission to alter a non-conforming structure. Applicants propose a 12-foot, 6-inch by 25-foot, 2-story addition to the east side of the house for a total of 576 square foot addition. The single-family residence will increase from 3 bedrooms to a total of 6 bedrooms and 3 full baths. The home will be approximately 1,736 square feet in size after the construction. The subject parcel is zoned R4C, multiple family residential district, and located on Brookwood Place. The parcel is non-conforming for the required lot size. Subject parcel is 3,659 square feet. Minimum lot size for the R4C district is 8,500 square feet. The structure was built in 1920 and is approximately 1,160 square feet currently. The new addition will not encroach into either the front or side setback. However, it will encroach into the rear setback a total of 11 feet 6 inches. This encroachment will be 1 foot 8 inches less than the existing structure. Applicant is providing a total of 3 parking spaces when only 1 is required. A new moped parking pad and bicycle hoops will be provided to the tenants for alternative forms of transportation. Chapter 55, Section 5:87(1)A states that a non-conforming structure may be maintained or restored, but no alteration shall be made to a non-conforming structure unless one of the following conditions are met. A, the alteration is approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals upon a finding that it complies as nearly as practicable with the requirements of this chapter and that it will not have a detrimental effect on neighboring properties. B, the alteration conforms to all requirements of this chapter and is made a building which will be a single-family dwelling on completion of the alteration and is located in R1, R2, R3, or R4 district. This will be a single-family residence. It is going to be a maximum of 6 bedrooms, and the R1C setback district standards apply. Turn your attention to the PowerPoint presentation. The location map. The property is to the west of Packard Street and to the east of White Street, just south of McKinley Avenue and north of Sylvan Avenue. This is an aerial map of the property. It's a zoomed in aerial of the property. The addition is going to be to the east side and where I'm moving that cursor. It's a survey that was submitted with the application. The next slide shows the hatched area. This is the front setback area, the buildable portion where the addition is going to go. You can see the proposed roof line of the structure.
So,
The next slide shows the proposed addition on the east side of the home. You see the 3 parking spaces on the west side, moped parking and bicycle hoops in the rear of the property. Floor plan, the first floor of the addition shows 2 bedrooms and a bath. Next slide shows the top floor, the second story, directly above the first. Next slide is an elevation of the addition. To the left, right, and this side is the existing. To the right is the proposed addition and how it looks from the street looking north at the property. This is looking directly west at the proposed elevation and what the proposed addition will look like. This is a conceptual visual drawing of the proposed addition. Next slides are my photos of actual current conditions. Front of the house. The east side of the house, the area where the proposed addition is going to go. The rear of the house. And this is from the rear of the house looking back out onto the street. The proposed area, location where the construction of the addition will take place. You can see the property across the street. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thanks, John. Any questions for staff? Dave?
there was an early slide there with the, right there. Is that the shaded area, the buildable area if it was an empty lot?
Yes, it is. As you can see right here where I have the cursor, you see that says 30-foot rear setback.
Right.
It goes all the way to right there. Right here's the 5-foot side yard, and then this is the 10-foot average front setback for the street. And that creates that building envelope. And the proposed addition, you can see the roof line here. So this area will not conform, but it's less protruding into the rear setback than the existing structure. So the alteration that's being proposed doesn't conform to the R1C district standards, but so that's why they're requesting the permission to alter.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, if the petitioner's here, if you'd like to sign in and state your name for the record.
Certainly. My name is Rob Burrows. I'm representing the petitioner tonight. I'm the architect on the project with OX Studio. I do appreciate you having us here this evening. We are excited to be here to answer any questions, of course. John did an excellent job not only walking you through this evening, but assisting us during the process, outlining some of the concerns and considerations. As he pointed out, the technical issue related to this is an alteration to a non-conforming structure. So the variance request is really to increase the usable floor area through the addition of bedrooms. The present house is a 3-bedroom, 2-story. We're proposing to convert this to a 6-bedroom total or maximum and 2-story configuration as well. The addition is taking place to the east side of the existing house. We have a rather large setback condition or side yard condition, particularly with the R1C classification, I should point out. In terms of the configuration, to make this a contextual consideration and design, we intentionally pushed the building back approximately almost 2 feet on both the front and the rear yard, so that it's set back from the front and rear faces of the building. And we also shouldered the building back on the second floor, on the second level and in the addition area itself. I should also point out that the basement is not a habitable basement because of the head clearances at this time. So really, the only area for usable or habitable conditions within the property in its current or proposed state would be on the first and second levels. As John likewise pointed out, we're in an attempt to be considerate and sensitive to the context of the neighborhood. We are complying beyond the minimum requirements of the ordinance for both parking. We're providing 3 on-site parking stalls for consideration. 1 is required by ordinance. There are no bike parking or moped parking requirements for an R1C district, a single-family dwelling unit. We are providing bike parking hoops in the backyard, as well as a slab on grade with a post for chaining up and demounting mopeds effectively. So I'm here for any additional questions, should you have any, and we certainly thank you for your time and consideration this evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the petitioner? Okay, is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on this?
Yes.
If you'd like to step forward and sign in, state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Sure. I've already signed in. My name is Charles Nelson, and I live across the street from this, slightly offset. In fact, it was the green and chocolate painted house in the picture, one of the pictures of the south side of the property. So we bought our house there in 1978, and we've lived there ever since. We have watched the character of the neighborhood change. It's gone from something like 50% homeowner occupied to, I think there are 3 homeowners in the area that, there's someone on White Street, but it's on the same, it's a corner lot on Brookwood, and myself, and my wife. And the main issue we'd like to raise for consideration when this is being adjudicated is the quality of life issue, which is, it's very well intended, and executed, I can see from the drawings, to accommodate more parking on the property. Our experience with other properties on the street and in neighboring streets is that the students don't like to get in front of one another in the single driveway type situation. They'd like to be angle parked and be able to come and go without referring, either by coordination or arrangement, getting cars backing up and letting someone else out. The result is that they invariably park in the street, which there's only parking on one side of the street. Additionally, Sylvan was recently changed from a 2-way to a 1-way when they repaved that with a permeable asphalt. So we get approximately, and this is very rough, but a 25% increase in the traffic on Brookwood, which is only 1 block long. And outside of the purvey of your petition, they often are going at some pace, like 35, 40 miles an hour sometime, just judging by the leaves. So the impact on the quality of life, we're homeowner occupied. We're just concerned about the parking issue more than anything else. Again, I'd like to communicate our appreciation for improving the property value. No one argues with that it is an improvement to the neighborhood. But the fact that there are 6 bedrooms, and given the normal experience of these students, each one brings either a truck, a Lexus, a BMW, a Mustang, or a Civic, something like that. And they all have vehicles. And so one could make an argument that at least some of the time that the house is rented for a year or 2 or 3, some of the time there are going to be 6 vehicles. It's just, I've experienced it for 30 some odd years now. And so that's a real effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this?
Yes. Hi. My name is Ilse Nelson. We know each other. My husband forgot to mention that it's not the only house that is coming in construction in the same street. It's another one, 830, that is coming very soon, and they are planning to add 6 bedrooms too. And next to the house of them, they are going to use for students too. It was a family house, and they are going to rent to 4 or 5 students. Then it's increasing the traffic. We have problems at night because they park in the wrong side of the street. almost every night we have to call to the police because, like my husband say, it's two-way traffic. And everybody thinks that so many houses and they need parking space, then they can park in the other side because McKinley allows, Sylvan doesn't allow, and they are parking in the beds, they are parking at front of the yards, then maybe Brockwood will allow. And we have problems because, like my husband say, they speed, and we can have an accident. Many times the police have to come at middle of the night and wait for the person to show up to move the car. The construction is beautiful. It's almost a copy of my house. Most of them are taking that idea. But like my husband said, they don't use the space of parking. They don't want to bother with each other. They don't coordinate. They don't plan ahead. And they say he has to sleep. He doesn't have the same classes. I don't want to park behind. The house at the other side, the one that is at this other side, the big triangle, that house is almost the same parking space. It's a long one. It goes a little bit behind. Because it's like a corridor, only one park stays there, one car. Nobody else parks behind. No, at the other side. No, they don't want to use the parking space when it's like that, so narrow. Then I don't know if you are going to change the rules and you are going to make both sides parking space to accommodate people, or are you going to put restrictions in how many bedrooms they are adding the next houses? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this item? I will note that we received correspondence from Peter Deininger from Dineco Properties LLC and Capo Management LLC. Looks like it's a letter in support of the petition to alter nonconforming structure, as well as a letter from Kevin Dial in support of the request.
And at the back of your packets, you had another correspondence from a Mr. Martini as well.
Oh, yes, there's, yes, a letter objecting to the request from Raymond J. Martini at 1230 White Street. So we are in discussion. Dave?
Well, I'll kick it off. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. I was born and raised here in Ann Arbor, and my family moved to Dewey Street, 2 blocks away from here, in 1957. And so I've seen this neighborhood change throughout the years. My mom and dad passed away in 2000 and 2001. My brother and I still own the house that we grew up in, and it's a duplex on Dewey Street. We actually have probably the most affordable housing in the area. It's a small 2-bedroom upstairs for $850 for 2 bedrooms, and a larger 2-bedroom down on the first floor for $950. So, and our tenants have been there for a long time as a result of that, which is great. I've walked, before this meeting, I looked at the property. I walked through the whole neighborhood on Sylvan and Brookwood, as well as Dewey. My wife and I moved off of Dewey. We had bought a house in 1980 across the street from where my mom was, and we moved off of there in 2001. Through the years, I've seen many families move here into this neighborhood as starter homes for small families or childless couples. And as their family grows, they try to move on to the other side of Packard, which is what we did, into the tenured part of Burns Park. Or they move into other areas in the community. As I'm looking at this and the increasing density here, I'm watching the loss of a character in the neighborhood that allows starter homes and a really starting place for beginning families. And that really concerns me. This is one of the neighborhoods that is somewhat affordable in that context for starting families. And as we see these, as we grant these variances or allowing non-conforming additions or additions to non-conforming structures, we're totally changing that dynamic of this neighborhood. And it concerns me deeply. I'm going to vote against it. I think I see if we approve this, we're going to have another one in 3 months or 6 months next summer, or another 2 or 3. And after walking this neighborhood and seeing the sorts of how I took this package and I walked house by house and I said, wow, somebody could do this here, or somebody could do it there, or somebody could do it there. And I see over the next 5 years, all the houses in this neighborhood will be changed along this same line. And I oppose that.
Any other discussion? Kirk?
Is it possible for me to add a remark?
No, I'm sorry, sir. We're in discussion.
I hear the concerns about density and traffic. That's, I think even without adding density, the city is getting more traffic. And, you know, my personal bias is that when you add parking spaces, it enables more people to bring cars. To me, my issue with this is not density, but really the effect on the architectural pattern of the neighborhood. You know, I've been down here, not recently, and just looking at the aerial reminds me how many of these homes have a traditional scale and pattern that has been part of that neighborhood for a long time. And frankly, you know, this is something that the city's been wrestling with for a long time, and the community's been wrestling with how to let people update these structures while keeping the character of the street. And it hasn't been solved, and that's unfortunate. But to my colleague's point here, it's clear that once we start granting side additions like this, which really don't honor the facade, the historic facade of these blocks, then each one justifies the next. So it's unfortunate that we, you know, don't have agreement as to how to tackle historic preservation, basically, or character preservation in these neighborhoods, or infill in a sensitive way. But to me, this is not resembling what I would hope that process would arrive at. So I'm struggling with this, and I'd love to hear some more input.
Mike?
So I certainly appreciate petitioner, members of the public, both I think make great points. My colleagues I think make excellent points. For me, just looking at the addition, it's going to honor existing side setback. It'll honor the required front setback. It is over the back setback, but no further than the current structure is, and it's even dialing in a little bit. It's not adding an additional door on the east side, so there's no one walking in kind of on that side of the house when they weren't before. I hear that people don't like having to coordinate with three cars sort of stacked, but the spots will be there. I appreciate what the petitioner is trying to do there, as well as adding the bike parking and moped parking. You know, I didn't grow up in Ann Arbor. I came here as a student, so I lived in these neighborhoods as a student. I have friends that lived in these neighborhoods as a student. I spent 7 years here as a student, so I kind of bring that perspective. And I want to feel like I need to stand up for the students a little bit in here because I think they add a lot to the city of Ann Arbor. So I see both sides of it. I'm pretty torn on this one, and so I will make my decision when the vote gets called, but I'm really split on this one. But I'm not, this isn't clear to me to vote no, because I think that what the petitioner is trying to do improves the property, And given the nature of this lot, they're doing their best to not drastically change the house. So while I see this as, I tend to favor having students in dwellings like this versus renting another $5,000 apartment in one of the new buildings downtown. So I like that experience for the students. I like to see opportunities made for them to do that. So I'm torn. I'll make a decision when the vote gets called.
Thanks. Any other discussion? Nicole?
I'm also struggling with this for the reasons that everybody has already said. I do think it's important to note that the two opposition letters that we received, or I'm sorry, the opposition we received here in the presentation and in the letter were actual homeowners who live in this neighborhood. And the two that were in support were property managers and presumably, I'm making an assumption, not residents of this neighborhood. So I think that I also will be making my decision at the moment, but I can consider this. Thank you.
Any other discussion or motion? Dave?
I have a couple points I wanted to add. I think this is a drastic change in the architectural character of the building, and it creates a negative impact on the character of the neighborhood. And both of those are reasons to deny this motion. I also think that properties in this configuration do have economic viability as rentals. So it's not a question of the owners being able to make economically viable use of the building as a rental property if they choose to do so. So it's, to me, that's really important. I think the owners can make good economic living as a rental property on this if that's what they choose to do, or it also becomes, in like many of the homes on the street, a nice home as a starter home for a family. And this is, when I was a kid, this neighborhood was mixed with students and families. And that was one of the beautiful things of this neighborhood. Growing up in a neighborhood with college students in it was a tremendous growing experience for me. And I see fewer and fewer of these mixed neighborhoods in the community. And Burns Park area, on both sides of Packard, is one of the remaining areas in the neighborhood, or in the city, that really has that marriage of those two aspects of the community, students and homeowners living side by side. I hate to see that go away.
Any other discussion or motion? Mike?
So I'm torn just like everybody else. I lived a block away from here when I was in school. I get the student side of it. Dave, I think what you just said really resonated with me. The economic viability of this home as it is. There are plenty of properties across Ann Arbor that are rented out to 2 or 3 people with 2 or 3 bedrooms. I think what resonated with one of the comments that came up with Sylvan getting switched to a one-way street is this concept of right-sizing, having the right size homes for the area. And if you look at the kind of just the block size on Brookwood, Sylvan's similar. I mean, they're just smaller blocks, smaller lot size. And I agree, you set a precedent when you allow one of these to happen. So I think I'm leaning more towards voting against the appeal.
Any other discussion? Nick?
I see a detrimental effect on the neighboring properties with this particular request. I think the concerns about traffic and space, and to a lesser extent the character of the property, are valid, so I will be voting against this particular request.
Ready for a motion? Kirk?
This is, excuse me, petition ZBA 16-024, 815 Brookwood Place. Permission to alter a non-conforming structure. Based on the following findings of fact and in accordance with the established standards for approval, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants permission to alter a non-conforming structure per submitted plans. A, the alteration complies as nearly as practicable with the requirements of the zoning chapter and will not have a detrimental effect on neighboring property.
We have a motion by Kirk. Do we have support?
I'll second.
Support
Or
by
you don't.
Dave. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. Mike Dobmeyer?
No.
Nicole?
No.
Kirk?
No.
I vote no. Nick?
No.
Mike Daniel?
No.
Dave?
No.
The request is denied. Moving on, we have no unfinished business. We have no new business. I think we have mentioned all correspondence that we received and reports and communications. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on any items? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mike, support by Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
When's our December meeting?
December 14th.